Hello, going to do a video today on two of my personal favorites of the Norod Red Devil dogs. It was Norrod's Iron Braddock and Norrod's Joliet Jake. Before I get started though, I just want to say that again, this channel, I'm never going to get a lot of hits, and that's what I'm not on here for that. I could care less. One, this is for me because I'm starting to forget things. I don't know. I want to remember these days so I can actually go back and watch these videos for myself. And also the newcomer, if you have a Red Devil dog or something, these dogs are in your pedigree. And actually, even if you don't, you might have the Jeep line or something, and you're like, man, I'm curious about the different old lines. Let me check out some stuff about the Red Devil dogs. And also on here, it seems like I misspeak a lot. I wish I could edit and stuff. Not really misspeak, but with the dogs, it seems like it was yesterday. And I know a lot I talk about the last breedings of the Red Devil dogs, which is not the case. What I should clarify myself better. The last breedings that Iron Line did when I still had the Red Devil dogs and was getting farm outs and was getting counseling on what breedings Mike thought I should do and stuff. So when I say in past videos that, some of the last private breedings was with Jake and Haggard and Mrs. C and Gustafson, I forget some of those, Rhino, some of those other dogs he had. That wasn't the last breedings that he made, so I want to apologize for that. It's the last breedings he made that I knew of when I still had the Red Devil dogs. I don't know what breedings he made the last 10 years of his life, so apologize for that. I should have been more specific on that. And some of the videos I feel are not as interesting as they could be. For example, I made one about people I'd met in the dogs, and it was a real short list. I've actually met more people in the dogs, but I don't have contact with these people or know how to get a hold of them. So I don't want to mention a famous, this is historical purposes. Let's just get right down to it. These were dog fighters. I don't want to mention their name if they're still in the game, and I don't want to mention their name if they're out of the game and maybe you're ashamed of that past life. My friends in the dogs, nobody's ever been ashamed of what they did. But that's a possibility. So, there's probably a video I shouldn't have did about who I met in the dogs because it was a very short list, but it was just a respect thing. The reason why I talk about, Mike though, is he didn't make no bones about what he did. He did tell me one time, that he was mad at some guys that had put pedigrees of their dogs online and said, Tony one-time winner and stuff like that. But then later on, there was a guy in our club that, years ago, there was I used to love Diamond dog food when I was in the dogs. And there was like a poisoning or something. And this guy in our club, he, I don't know if his one or two dogs got sick from the Diamond dog deal. And then the guy didn't match dogs or roll dogs or nothing. He just thought it would be cool, which I get, to own a champion. So the guy went and bought a champion. So he's got a dog in his yard that he'd done nothing illegal with, but it had scars on it. So they got him. They was trying to get him for dog fighting with that dog, and then they was trying to get him for like neglect because he had a couple sick dogs, or maybe just one, I can't remember, from the Diamond dog food poisoning. So Mike was an expert witness in his case and helped get him off of that, or some of the charges I think he got off of. I don't know if they got him on others. I can't remember. It's been so long ago. But I do know when you go against, the state or whatever, the county, when you're in trouble like that, they have to give you everything they have as evidence, and you have to give them your witnesses and stuff. And you can't just go say, hey, this guy's a expert, at guns, or this guy's an expert at dogfight. You have to prove it. So, of course, there's proof out there that you could prove that Mike is an expert in dogfighting. So that's why I talk about him, because to me anyway, he didn't make no bones about what he had did. And, of course, later in life, he didn't, because he didn't get to test too much of the champion blood, because he told me he had I don't know if he's a friend, but he knew a guy that was a prosecutor, and they showed him pictures of his dogs in infrared when they was checking him out. To quote Mike, he said, I got him so far up my ass I can taste Brill cream. So he couldn't look at dogs or nothing. They're I don't know, last 20 years of his life or something, I can't remember. So anyway, that's why I talk about him. And then of course he's passed on. But today I wanted to talk about a couple of my favorites. Norrod's Iron Braddock. He was a one-time winner. He was off a champion Bobcat and Norrod's Iron Red Ruby. He was born 9/20/87. He was a one-time winner that beat Miller's Bull in 36. Mike said Miller's Bull was a badass dog, so to beat him in 36, showed you what Braddock was. And he said he was a great producer. You could breed him to a rank cur and still get a couple good ones. He said that he was so phenomenal, he really shouldn't have matched him. He said he kind of regretted it doing it with him, and then he had a badass son called Lil Red that was a one-time winner OTC. And he said that after Lil Red, he finally got out of doing that, because when you have a dog that phenomenal, if you lose it, you can't replace him. It's kind of, one in a million. So I never had any dogs off of Braddock, but I had dogs from him through Lil Red and Lelu, which were both off of Braddock, half brother sister breeding. But yeah, he was I wish I could have got stuff off of him, but he was a really good dog. I think he was like a dark red. And one of my other favorites was Norrod's Joliet Jake. Jake was born 6/25/94. He was off of Norrod's Red Devil and Norrod's Slam Queen. Jake never had a pit career. He had blew ACL or something. I can't remember, but he had blew something on his leg on a treadmill. But the interesting thing about Jake was, and I had a dog off of Jake, which was crazier than hell. And I'm actually going to do a video on crazy dogs, the 3 or 4 that I had. What I mean by crazy dog, man, you just can't, sometimes you can't even breed them, because all they want to do is fight. They kill anything around. Just, crazier than hell. And if you've had one of these dogs, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a newcomer, then you might not. But he said that, and I'd actually seen Jake. He's a good-looking dog. He's what Mike called his, he would have gray dogs, real pretty gray, but he called them silver red. So he called Jake a silver red, just like Norrod's Coco was. And I actually had a whole litter one time off of 2 red dogs, or off a brindle dog and a red and white dog of the Red Devil stuff, that threw a whole litter of the gray ones, and that's all I ever got of all my breedings of the Red Devil dogs. But Jake had a brother named Tango, which I never seen. I think he was a dark red, and he said Tango was actually the better pit dog, because obviously Jake still got tested. He just didn't get matched. And Tango was the better dog in the pit, but Jake was the better producer. He said he was a throwback. He said Jake produced better than himself, and that's what you want out of a producer. He said he was pretty rough, like you'd go out there to feed him, and he'd grab a hold of you. And I've had dogs like that also, where it's if it's a newcomer, it's not a mean thing. They're not attacking you. I've never been bit by a bulldog. Um, they got testosterone like a bull shark, and it usually starts as a puppy. And even as a grown dog, you go out there and they'll grab on your clothes and shake. I don't know how many shirts and pants and stuff I've had ripped from having a few. And it's I've only had males that did that. They're just crazier than hell. But he said, Jake grab a hold of you about every time you go out there. Um, Reminds me of a boxer. They're always wanting to put their hands up and slap box or shadow box. They just can't, they can't get it out of their system, man. I want to fight. I want to fight. I want to throw a punch. And that's what that reminds me of. So I knew what he meant, but he said, Jake, go out there and grab you. Tango is a sweetheart. You go out there and pet him. And he said, man, he just want petted. So there was definitely a difference in the brothers, but they actually had some sisters. I really can't remember all their names. Littermate sisters was like Hillary, Jackie, Martha, Eleanor. Might have been one more. And it was interesting that Mike had told me that particular group of bitches was not his best females in history. So sound like a pretty decent litter where you got some bitches that wasn't your best that could produce, but you got, two really good males out of the deal. So I certainly wouldn't complain about a litter like that. And in the future, I'll do that video. And Jake's son, I forget his registered name, but I called him Braddock after Iron Braddock that I just talked about. And like I said, I do a video on him and a few other dogs I had that were crazy like that. That's probably about how Jake was. I don't think he had a problem getting him bred and stuff like that. But I would have liked to have more off Jake, man. I just Mike even said the pure Red Devil dogs. He didn't say like one better than the other. He just said pure Red Devil dogs a little more different than the Red Devil dogs with the Champion Gambler stuff in there or the Champion Blood. And it just seemed they were a little more high strung and a little more, they all kicked off early, but the kicked off means wanting to fight. But they all kicked off early, but it just seemed like the straight blood, just a pure Red Devil, because the male I had was off of Jake and Hemlock Hattie. Man, they're just crazy from the start. They're just so intense. Doesn't mean it's a better dog than the Champion Gambler with the the Red Boy Red Devil stuff, because Gambler was half Red Boy and half Red Devil. But just, man, it's hard to explain unless you have a Champion Gambler dog and raise it up, or a pup from the Champion Blood, and you raise up a pure Red Devil dog. It's just a total. It comes to the same conclusion of a good dog, but you think, oh, the Red Devil dog's definitely going to be better because they're just so intense, they're so crazy, they're just so driven. It's just it's crazy, but not any better than the Red Devil stuff with Champion Gambler or Champion Duchess or nothing like that. But there's just a little bit of history on the Braddock and Joliet Jake of the Norod Red Devil dogs, and hope everybody has a good day.